The heart of the Emilia-Romagna region of northern Italy is the city of Bologna. Founded in 1000 BCE, the area prospers because it sits at the intersection of two critical trade routes that link Milan and Venice to Rome. However, it's the area's agricultural roots that turn it into a hotbed of engineering.
I was born in Bologna. That is my home. I think I was very lucky to be born in the Motor Valley.
30 kilometers, there is a lot of companies which are doing beautiful cars. There is a huge competition. Everybody wants to be the best. We want to show that we are the king of Terra dei Motori.
We breathe the engine sound, and we are really proud to transform our dreams as a child in a job.
A dream job connected to the country's passion for speed.
Inside of every Italian driver is a frustrated Formula One driver. They like to go fast. They celebrate speed, and they like to sort of dice it. If you drive a Lamborghini, the best thing you can do is to drive it quickly, because that's what they want to be doing, even though, they're driving some tiny little diesel engine Fiat.
Speed that comes roaring to life in the drivetrain sub-assembly area.
This is the sub-assembly of our powertrain line. The engine, gearbox, transmission, and front and rear axle. This is the core of the car.
Like all previous Lamborghini models, the Urus powertrain is handcrafted. Yet the engine is a bold departure from the past due to modern worldwide emissions legislation.
Unfortunately, the Italians are bound by the same laws as everyone else.
In Europe, CO2 emissions are the most important thing. On standardized tests, a twin-turbo 4-liter V8, which produces V12 levels of power, will pollute less.
For decades, Lamborghini's hallmark is V10 and V12 motors. But the Urus is different. The machine features the marque's first twin-turbo V8 engine.
Part of what makes a Lamborghini exotic is the engine. They have V10s, V12s. What's more important is the amount of power it's going to make, and that's where the Urus comes in. And that's where the Urus is going to be just fine.
One aisle over, craftspeople sub-assemble the suspension.
Monto la sale anteriore, il posteriore.
I assemble the front and rear shock absorbers and brakes. After which, it is taken on the RGV we see here and is joined to the motor, the gas tank, and all that.
The carbon ceramic disc brakes are enormous and powerful.
This is the biggest brake system existing in the world. We have 440 millimeter in the front disc with 10 caliper with 10 pistons. That is huge. If you see, the caliper is big like the wheel. And for this reason, the car can brake from 100 kilometers per hour to 0 in only 33.7 meters. The ratio is valid for a super sport car. What we generate here is much superior, because to be able to brake 2 tons in a space that is less of a super sport car, you can imagine what tremendous energy you must have dissipated and what tremendous force you must be able to apply in order to brake. This means the ratio is completely different in a super sport SUV.
Completed brakes are combined with the suspension components, and then the finished units are moved to the main powertrain line.
This is the core of the machine. It's powertrain of the car, engine, gearbox, transmission, front and rear axle.
Craftspeople drop the V8 onto a jig and add the remainder of the powertrain.
Questo è il cuore.
This is the heart. Without this part, nothing moves, unless they invent a pedal-powered car.
Then we put the fuel tanks, the exhaust system, And we combine all together to have this big, huge powertrain which has to be inserted in the car.
Once the powertrain is completed, it's robotically moved to the marriage station.
The main pallet comes to the line in order to have the marriage with the body.
Finally, it's time for a partially built-up Urus body to meet its Italian soul.
Here, the mechanical heart of the car. Here, we are assembled the powertrain to the body. It's complicated, for sure.
If you consider the assembly as an orchestra, we have to consider that all our operators are the musicians that should be in perfect harmony in order to do exactly what is necessary.
All engine marriages are delicate, yet this installation is different than anything the brand knows.
Until now, we have produced only super sport car with the rear engine, and the engine was installed in the car from the top. We had to change our mind.
The automated guide vehicles are just the beginning of the high-tech tools. The station also features its own collaborative robot. A pair of robotic screw guns for the craftspeople to use. And the factory's manufacturing execution system.
6 different systems, and they have to work all together in the same time with a lot of interaction. Therefore, it's a sort of ballet, a sort of dancing between all the systems together.
The collaborative robot screws the bottom of the powertrain to the frame, guaranteeing perfect accuracy while also reducing the strain felt by the workforce.
So the physical stress is demand to the machine, and our people can concentrate on the activity done by hands.
The combination of robotic tech plus humanity is another step beyond a conventional assembly line.
It's the starting point of a huge revolution, which is at the beginning. It's the first step. We think about the second step, but we don't know in which way we land. This is something which is still unexplored.
After fluids, a new Urus receives its high-performance tires, where another robot helps make the installation ergonomically friendly.
The wheels are very heavy. This is the reason why we did the installation of this fantastic robot that helps the operator to assemble the wheels. He is picking up from the container automatically, and he is moving the wheel near the car. And the operator has only to screw the wheel on the car.
A station later, the seats are added. Then they bolt the doors on. All 4 doors. Something that is normal at most car factories, but entirely new for Lamborghini.
I primi giorni che io sono venuto dentro questo stabilimento.
The first day I started here, we had the door panels of the vehicle and we said, okay, 4 panels, we'll make 2 vehicles. No, this makes 1 car. Because now we have 4 doors, so everything is multiplied. The trim, the accessories. Things that Lamborghini never thought was possible before.
After hanging the doors, a new Urus is nearly ready to hit the road.
These are a couple of stations in parallel in which we do the final check, so the car is almost completed. As Ferruccio said, the next tester will be the customer, so make sure that it will be satisfied, really satisfied.
The details left to review might be minor, but the pride that's felt is enormous.
La parte migliore del mio lavoro è vedere queste.
The best part of my job is to see these cars come to life, starting from the shell of the body, eventually seeing the roar of the engine, which is something exceptional. For me, building a Lamborghini is a dream. I've dreamed of working for this company ever since I was a kid.
We are working really hard. Without passion, this will not be possible.
The pride and motivation are clear. Now, the only question that remains is how the machine will be received.
I wonder what took them so long. I mean, they had the SUV 30 years ago. They've clearly seen what SUV sales are doing now. Why not build an SUV? I mean, what took you so long, Lamborghini?
I think Ferrari's really worried and saying, well, we said we were never going to build an SUV, and all of a sudden you've seen their rhetoric change. Ferrari's now saying, well, we're going to look at the Ferrari way of making an SUV. I think Ferrari is looking at the buzz around Urus.
The Lamborghini Urus, the most unlikely machine ever built by the House of the Raging Bull. A potential forerunner to an entirely new way to manufacture vehicles. And a 650 horsepower, 4 seats category creating super SUV.
When the first car came off the line, I thought, I was here for this particular moment for Lamborghini. And I will be able to tell my children and maybe even my grandchildren that I was there. It's something indescribable that will be a part of history.
We know that this will be remembered in some years as one of the turnaround point of our company. So we are believing that this will be really something unique. It's a super sport SUV, something which is not existing in Italy, in the world.